The doctor said there's no way she could have survived. No way.
I didn't do it though.
There's no way she could have survived. But here's the deal, honey. You show up at the hospital with the baby. She's with you. That's the last time anybody ever saw her.
In April 2011, a small Kentucky town was shaken by an unthinkable crime. What started as a joyful anticipation of new life took a dark and twisted turn, leading police down a trail of deception, betrayal, and horror. How did a seemingly ordinary woman become the center of a horrifying mystery? Stay with us as we uncover the truth. Welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. In today's episode, we'll dive into investigating the most horrifying case in the town near Bowling Green, the creepiest case of Kathy Coy. On April 13, 2011, in a quiet town near Bowling Green, Kentucky, 33-year-old Kathy Coy found herself in an unimaginable situation. She unexpectedly went into labor while driving and had no choice but to deliver her baby on the side of the road. Once the baby was born, Kathy rushed to her friend, Shelley Lindsay's house for help. Shelley found Kathy shocked and covered in blood, holding a newborn baby. She quickly brought Kathy inside, but panic set in when she realized the baby was struggling to breathe. She wiped the bubbles from his nose and mouth, wrapped him in a towel, and immediately called 911. The situation worsened, and they were rushed to the hospital. Doctors and nurses worked quickly, placing the infant in an incubator to warm his freezing body. His breathing was weak, his tiny chest rising and falling erratically. The team fought to stabilize him, checking his vitals and putting him on oxygen. Meanwhile, Kathy was wheeled into the labor and delivery unit. Any woman who had just given birth needed a full examination to check for complications: hemorrhaging, tearing, retained placenta. Just standard procedures. But when the doctors examined Kathy, what they found was shocking. There were no physical signs that she had just gone through labor. No vaginal tearing, no bleeding, no postpartum contractions. Her uterus was normal, firm, untouched. Her cervix showed no signs of dilation. It was as if she had never even been pregnant. The ultrasound confirmed it. Kathy's womb was empty. As the realization set in, a sinking feeling spread through the medical team. If Kathy hadn't just delivered this baby, where had he come from? This unsettling finding prompted the medical staff to take a closer look.
I left the room and then went and looked at the placenta, and that's when I noticed that the placenta had a uterus, tubes, and ovaries attached to it. And when people deliver, only the placenta comes out; all the other stuff remains intact. So,
When you seen that, what did you think?
it had to come from somebody else.
The placenta that Kathy had brought in with her was large, heavy, with long, tangled blood vessels. It didn't take long for them to realize something was wrong. Attached to it were a uterus, fallopian tubes, and ovaries. It was a complete reproductive system. Someone hadn't just given birth. Someone had been surgically butchered. One of the doctors immediately stepped out to make a call. The police needed to be here now. Meanwhile, Kathy was lying in the hospital bed, texting to her husband Shannon as if nothing was wrong. She sent updates about the baby, telling him how perfect their little boy was. She reassured him that everything had gone as planned, spinning the illusion of a joyful new mother. But Kathy had no idea that her carefully constructed web of lies was about to collapse. Soon, Kentucky State Police arrived to question her. They had already been briefed by medical staff, who had found no evidence that she had just given birth. Yet, despite the overwhelming signs pointing to deception, Kathy clung to her story with unwavering confidence. She insisted that the little boy was her baby and repeated her story of delivering him on the roadside over and over. as if saying it enough times would make it true. Meanwhile, detectives executed a search warrant at Kathy's home. The scene was completely normal. Her 2 children were playing and happily assisted. The police combed through her belongings. Then, in an unexpected moment, they gave a crucial piece of information that would change everything. One of the kids said that Kathy was with her friend that day, and her friend was pregnant. A wave of chill sent down officers' spines. They asked for her name, but the child couldn't remember exactly. The only certain thing is it started with a J. Detectives shared a glance. That was all they needed. Through Kathy's Facebook account, they discovered a long chat with Jamie Stice, a 21-year-old woman who was heavily pregnant. When they tried to contact Jamie, they got no response. The urgency of the situation escalated. Investigators now had to find Jamie and determine whether their worst fears were true. They reached out to her family, and her mother, Jamie Stice, confirmed that she hadn't seen Jamie since that morning.
Have you talked to anybody that has seen your daughter since 9:30 this morning?
Kathy Coy.
The detectives needed to get to the bottom of the story. They brought Kathy into the interrogation room and asked her to recount the events of her day. Kathy explained that she woke early, around 4:30 a.m., and saw her husband, Shannon, off to work. Then, close to 1,000 a.m., she went to meet Jamie's mother, Jeannie. That's when her plans were interrupted by contractions, and soon, she was in full labor. She claimed she delivered the baby in an empty restaurant parking lot before rushing to her friend Shelley's house for help. Shelley, who was later interviewed by police, confirmed this version of events, but her account revealed a key difference in the details. Kathy had told nurses at the hospital that Shelley had helped deliver the baby, but Shelley set the record straight. She said, "I had nothing to do with this delivery. The baby was born before Kathy showed up at my house." When first responders arrived, they didn't initially see anything suspicious. One responder described Kathy's demeanor, noting that she was sitting on the floor, repeatedly saying, "Take care of my baby." She seemed to be in distress, gagging as if she might vomit, and actually did throw up at one point. However, by the time they returned with the stretcher, Kathy was standing and walking toward it, insisting she was fine. The detective continued to press Kathy on her last encounter with Jamie. Kathy insisted that she had last seen Jamie when she picked her mother up at her house to take her to the Social Security office. Kathy wasn't sure if Jamie was planning to join them afterward. She mentioned that Jamie had been asleep on the couch when she left with her mother. Jeannie, Jamie's mother, told police a very different version of events. She stated that Jamie had indeed been with them, and while Jeannie stayed at the office, Kathy had driven Jamie to go shopping for some baby clothes and groceries. So, these two clearly had spent some time alone with each other that morning. Then, Jeannie even revealed more about her relationship with Kathy. She had only known Kathy for about 2 weeks, but they had been in frequent contact on Facebook because Kathy claimed herself as a member of a social organization and could offer assistance with housing through a program. This was another contradiction, as Kathy had claimed to know Jeannie for several months. The inconsistencies were mounting, and it was clear that Kathy had been lying a lot. During questioning, Kathy quickly lost her temper. Her behavior grew more erratic as she repeatedly changed her story. She insisted she was pregnant and even showed an ultrasound to prove it. However, detectives soon discovered that the ultrasound picture was someone else's, not hers. Then, they confronted her with the evidence. DNA testing showed the baby belonged to Jamie, and multiple witnesses saw Jamie getting into Kathy's car that morning. Realizing she was cornered, Kathy began to crack. She became agitated, yelled at officers, and threw Jamie's picture around. No matter how detectives pushed, Kathy still refused to tell them where Jamie was. In a last-ditch effort to deflect blame, she told them another bizarre story. She claimed that she actually suffered a miscarriage, but she had pretended everything was fine, as she feared that her marriage would fall apart if her husband Shannon knew the truth. Then, seeing her distress, a woman named Ashley approached her and offered to sell her a baby for $550. However, the detectives weren't fooled. They immediately pointed out how ridiculous the story was, as it's impossible for Jamie's baby to have magically appeared in a random Ashley's hands.
There is no way that you've been riding around here and all of a sudden, poof, here comes Ashley. And poof, here comes a baby. That does not happen. Do you understand that? It does not happen.
Realizing she had been caught, Kathy shifted her story once again. She tried to convince officers that she had multiple personalities, and Ashley was actually her other persona. This new twist in her tale only further confirmed that Kathy was desperately trying to distance herself from the truth. To make her words more convincing, she started slipping into different voices and referring to herself as Ashley. She became aggressive, making cryptic statements about knowing how to kill, and boasting that they could not prove anything without a body. At this point, officers knew they couldn't get any more information out of her, as Jamie's fate was still unknown. The mission of locating her became more and more urgent. They decided to try a different approach, bringing in someone new and playing along with Kathy's performance. For a brief moment, she calmed down. She even admitted that I belong in a psychiatric ward, but I don't belong in jail. The process of gaining trust seemed to be going smoothly. This is the exact moment that the detective knew. He could pry for some useful information. When Kathy said Ashley would come out when she got mad, the detective took the opportunity.
Did you get mad at Jamie?
I haven't got mad at Jamie.
No.
I didn't get mad at Jamie.
Okay. That tells us a lot then, don't it?
Please don't tell me I did anything I'm crazy. They think I did it. I didn't do it. Ashley did it.
Ashley did it. How did she do
And
it?
how could they ask for a fucking proof?
I won't tell her. How did she do it? Yeah, you did. Yeah, she's in you.
Jamie was on Louisville Road.
Okay. Where on Louisville Road is Jamie?
She went to the gas station.
Around the gas station. It's okay.
Hold on. She's trying.
It's coming.
She's trying.
She's trying because you're coming clean, sweetie.
Please don't. Back away. Please. I will. Please.
You can do this.
This tactic only got them a little information to work with before the Ashley personality returned, and threw a tantrum, yelling and throwing stuff at officers. Despite her outbursts, the detectives kept their focus. The time for playing around was done. They told Kathy they had all the evidence they needed to charge her with capital, murder and kidnapping a child, which secured her a place in jail. A formal citation for these charges was coming, and they gave her one last chance to come clean and tell them exactly where Jamie was. Seemingly still hadn't grasped the seriousness of her situation, Kathy continued to resist, putting all blame on Ashley, even gloating in the corner, refusing to show any remorse. But when officers moved in, cuffed her, and began escorting her out, her bravado collapsed. She screamed, cried, and begged them to stop.
You're done. Yep. You want to cooperate with us? You want to tell us where Jamie's at?
Please take him out my home. We're protected free and clear and my heart and no gun into my way. I swear I will go to it.
You're done. You're done, honey. You're done. Have a seat. Get the truth. Have a seat. They're done with you. You're done. We're done playing.
Knowing that her fate was sealed, Kathy finally broke down and agreed to direct the authorities to the crime scene. But could they come in time to save poor Jamie's life? How long would a person have lasted with her abdomen sliced open and her internal organs removed? The odds were almost non-existent, but officers still held onto a sliver of hope. During the ride along, Kathy now completely reverted from her Ashley persona back to her true self. Guided by her information, officers went to a remote wooded area.
You don't want to see what's out there.
I've seen a lot worse, sweetie. I've done this for 20 years. I've seen a lot worse.
She's dead.
She's dead?
She,
I figured she was. What else is in the woods?
You find a whole lot of blood and she's been cut up really bad.
Okay.
There's a taser.
They're what?
A taser.
A taser?
That immobilized her.
Oh, you tased her. I see. Where did you tase her at?
On the neck. I don't want to know how bad it is back here. But I don't want to go to jail. Please, please, please.
When police finally found Jamie's body in a wooded area, the scene was horrifying. She was lying face down, partially clothed, a massive gash across her abdomen. Her throat and wrists had also been cut. Defensive wounds marked her arms. Small scratches on her palms showed she had tried to fight back, but she had been no match for her attacker. Jamie's body had been left out in the open, exposed to the elements. The dirt beneath her was soaked in blood, the air thick with the scent of decay. A stun gun which Kathy had used to subdue her was discarded nearby. The sheer brutality of the attack left officers speechless, but the horror didn't stop there. According to doctors, the baby was still alive when he arrived at the hospital. That meant his mother hadn't passed away instantly. Jamie was still alive, maybe even conscious when her baby was removed. The doctor explained that when a mother dies, oxygen flow to the baby stops. In most post-mortem emergency C-sections, the baby doesn't survive unless it's done within minutes. So the fact that the little boy still lived suggested that Jamie was alive during the brutal mutilation. She had suffered excruciating pain. Her body was forced into trauma, then abandoned in the woods to die slowly from blood loss. It's hard to comprehend the nightmare that Kathy had put Jamie through. What could have driven Kathy to carry out such a cold-blooded and disturbing act? As the investigation unfolded, Kathy had gone to crazy lengths before the murder. She had a history of pretending to be pregnant, and according to police reports, she had once stalked a pregnant teacher at her son's elementary school. The teacher was so unnerved by Kathy's behavior that she began keeping a journal, documenting strange encounters, like the time Kathy stood in the doorway of her classroom, silently watching her work alone. To make matters worse, Kathy had claimed to be pregnant at the same time as the teacher, and when the teacher suffered a miscarriage, Kathy suddenly claimed to have lost her baby as well. This time of faking pregnancy, Kathy was more experienced in selling her lies. She managed to get her hands on an ultrasound photo, which she showed to police and Shannon, her husband. Shannon believed he was looking at an image of their unborn child, unaware that it was actually stolen from a friend of Kathy at a party in October 2010. Shannon was completely convinced she was pregnant. Kathy had brought home a fetal heart monitor and tricked him into believing he heard a baby's heartbeat. She also had him place his hands on her stomach while she shifted it herself, mimicking the sensation of a baby kicking. The reasons behind Kathy's deception seemed to be tied to a deep insecurity and fear. Since she had been divorced twice before, she was terrified that Shannon, who was excited about having a baby, might leave her if she didn't get pregnant. Shannon, however, painted a different picture. He said their marriage was fine and denied ever thinking of leaving her. Whether Kathy was ever truly pregnant or suffered a miscarriage remained unclear, but it was obvious that her mind had become twisted by her despair. And Kathy soon realized that lies and fake kicks wouldn't be enough. She needed a real baby to make her story complete. That's when she befriended Jamie Stice, a young, naive first-time mother who was 35 weeks pregnant. To prepare for her sick plan, she researched methods of home C-sections and infant abduction techniques, then bought a stun gun just 2 weeks before the crime. On April 13th, Kathy lured Jamie Stice into her car, pretending they were going shopping for baby supplies. Instead, she drove Jamie to an isolated area, tased her, and performed a crude C-section while she was still alive. Jamie likely survived for several minutes, gasping for air as she bled out. Kathy then took the newborn, still attached to the placenta, to a friend's house, pretending she had just given birth. Kathy's obsession had reached a deadly peak, and there was no turning back. Officers later found out that her family also had deep concerns about her mental state. Her ex-stepfather revealed that he had always feared something like this would happen. He totally believed Kathy was capable of killing someone if she gets her way. She doesn't care who she hurts. Kathy's mother also admitted that she thought Kathy was psychotic, as no human being could do what she did. Even Kathy's children spoke out, revealing that their mother had once asked them to help her commit crimes.
And that she was thinking about kidnapping a baby. She asked me for help, and I said definitely not. Then she said she was just playing around. She said she told me that because she said she trusted me and stuff, and that not to tell my dad.
What kind of help did she want you to do?
I think she said kind of knock a person out and then kind of take a baby.
She said, just hypothetically, if I was to want to commit a crime, would you help me? And I asked her, I said, what kind of crime? She said, theft. If I was to rob something, would you help me? I said, probably not. That don't mean I'd turn you in. I probably would, but because you're my mother, I would hesitate. She said, all right, well, what about murder? No, I told her, I said, absolutely not. I would never help you with something like that.
It's crazy to think about the dangerous influence Kathy exerted over those closest to her. Luckily, her children seemed very bright and weren't affected by it. With undeniable proof, Kathy Coy was charged with murder, kidnapping, and feticide. The trial was swift, the evidence overwhelming. Even the prosecutor struggled to go through the sheer brutality of the crime. Her throat was slit.
Her throat was slit. Her wrist was slit. She was disemboweled. The baby was obviously cut out of her. She had zip ties around her wrist. She was face down. She was face down. She was found in the woods approximately maybe 50 to 100 yards. She had been very difficult to find.
Kathy was already crying before the court proceedings even began. The courtroom was tense as the prosecution detailed the horrific crime, recounting each calculated step Kathy had taken to execute her plan. The jury sat in silence as photographs of the crime scene were displayed Jamie's lifeless body, the surgical precision of the wounds, the blood-stained knife. Finally, Kathy Coy was found guilty of all charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Shannon, Kathy's husband, was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered life. He had believed his wife's lies and had been fooled into thinking he was about to become a father. It was too much to bear, and he moved away, eventually remarrying, trying to rebuild his life while the two children were placed in foster care. For Jamie's family, the verdict brought a sense of justice, but not closure. Nothing could bring back the young mother whose life was so cruelly taken. Nothing could erase the horror of what had happened to her. But amidst the darkness, one light remained. The baby magically survived. Despite the violence of his birth, despite the horror that surrounded his first moments, he fought for a chance to live and won. Jamie's family took him in, naming him Isaiah Stice Reynolds, his middle name an honor to his mother. Jamie's memory lived on, in the whispers of those who loved her, in the baby boy she had fought to bring into the world. Her story, though tragic, served as a haunting reminder of the cruelty that lurked behind familiar faces. Do you think the punishment that Kathy Coy has to bear is deserved? Does she really have mental illness and split personalities? Share your thoughts in the comments. If there's a case you'd like us to cover, let us know. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.